So thank you for inviting me. I find this to be a very important discussion kasi ang ganda ng connection natin. So we have natural scientists and myself a social scientist. So I'm a psychologist. I'm a registered psychologist. My work is more on indigenous psychology and transpersonal psychology. In other words, I just say I'm a psychospiritual researcher. So yung tinitingnan ko po is mostly the spiritual aspect of psychological experience. Eh lahat naman po na experience natin, even with nature, with our environment, is psychological. All of it is a human experience that we're expressing, that we're in relation with. So pag everything that we experience is an interaction. So, when we talk about the ecological self, kanina na bring up ni Dr. Aldrin na what is it about us Filipinos as natives to the Philippines na bakit hindi tayo indigenous? Bakit may hiwalay na indigenous? And I love the context of what we're doing is because ang narinig ko kanina is that it's so that we can understand yung what we might term to be the indigenous worldview of how indigenous people relate with nature, how people relate with environments. So yung historical reason lang po kung bakit hiwalay ang indigenous sa majority Filipino is really a legal thing. So it's legally defined sa IPRA, sa Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act noong 1997, na ito yung indigenous people. But this actually comes from a colonial legacy of the Spanish and Americans saying na, oh, we have to Christianize the natives or modernize the natives. Nung nandito yung mga Amerikano, nagkaroon ng parang committee on non-Christian tribes. So they were trying to Christianize them and modernize them. Kaya hanggang ngayon, nagkakaroon ng hiwalay. Nahihiwalay ang indigenous people sa majority Filipino. And it's kind of strange kasi pag sinabi natin indigenous in other contexts, it refers to the original people who were there as compared to the colonial settlers. Pero bakit sa atin na dito naman tayo pinanganak, dito naman tayo nanggaling, eh yung colonizers nga yung umalis, ba't tayo hindi tayo indigenous sa kultura na to? So yung term na indigenous in social science, so iba po yung sa legal concept niya, sa political concept niya. Sa social science, ginagamit po yung indigenous na term just to refer to kung saan ka nanggaling. So your home context, in other words. You're indigenous to your hometown. So for example, ako, Ilonggo ako, doon ako pinanganak, pero doon ako pinalaki, and so on. So I would say, I'm indigenously Ilonggo, and so on. So pag sinabi po natin, Psikolohiyang Pilipino, something like this, it's indigenous psychology. All that it means is, yung mga konsepto na nandun ay galing sa kontekstong Pilipino. Hindi siya nilipat or hiniram mula sa iba. So ang titingnan po natin dito is indigenous psychology or indigenous concepts in the sense na nanggaling siya sa kontekstong Pilipino. So yun po siya sa social science. Ayun. So yung tawag ko po dito sa bibigay kong talk is kalibutan. Kalibutan in Cebuano refers to yung surroundings mo, yung environment, right? Mamaya pag-usapan natin, ano nga ba ibig sabihin nito? A huge part of indigenous psychology is coming from the words, with the psychological assumption that we give names to things that we value. So ibig sabihin, we will have words for things, a culture will have words for things that they value culturally. Kaya yung konsepto ng kapwa, hiya, pakikiramdam, things that are valued sa atin, binibigyan natin ng salita. But just because nanggaling siya sa kultura natin does not necessarily mean na kultura lang natin ang meron nun. For example, yung konteksto ng kapwa, which is a shared collective self, meron din siyang similarities sa iba-iba pang mga cross-indigenous ideas. Like for example, sa African Bantu, may konsepto ng Ubuntu. Sa Korean, meron konsepto ng Wuri, which is like us, parang ganyan. But it's very similar to kapwa. So ang sinasabi lang po natin dito is yung mga konsepto na to na galing sa iba't ibang mga indigeneities, konsepto lang po siya na pangtao. These are things that are drawn from the human experience na kapag English lang ang ating naintindihan, hindi natin na-access yung mga ganong klaseng experience. Kaya pag nabubura ang mother tongue, pag nabubura ang mga indigenous languages, nawawala na rin yung pag-explain, yung words, yung vocabulary to explain that experience. So yun po. Sige, let's... Ayan. In this discussion, mas i-conceptualize ko siya in the way of how we think about it rather than just using, ito yung vocabulary dito. I'd like to get a little deeper than that. Kasi alam naman natin yung vocabulary. What we want to do is, what's the way of thinking that allows that vocabulary to emerge? Parang ganyan. So pag-uusapan po natin yung either-or versus both-and na thinking. This is more of sa Filipino philosophy, nakikita natin na mas process-based tayo kaysa sa static. Nakikita din natin to in terms of cultural identity. It's not something that's static and taxonomized, but something that's hybrid. So yes, pinanganak ako sa Bacolod. So Ilonggo ako technically, but my father is from Davao and I was educated in Manila. So can I really say na Ilonggo lang ako? I'm a hybridized identity. And in very much the same way, a lot of indigenous communities, yes, meron silang indigeneity, but they're also part of the modern world. They're also part of modern experiences, modern issues, pollution, illegal logging, overmining, overfishing, and so on. These are modern concerns as well that are affecting indigenous people. So pag-usapan din natin yung self as machine versus self as organism, a mindset that I personally see in the mental health space. And then pag-usapan natin what it means when it comes to identity and space. So dito papasok yung konsepto ng animism. What does it mean for us to actually feel with our environment? Parang ang strange isipin, no? To feel with our environment. Okay, so pag-usapan po natin ngayon yung either-or versus both-and thinking. We have a dominant idea that things are very separate from one another. And it's good for us to have that way of thinking kasi it allows us to distinguish things and manipulate objects in a way that gives us comfort, that gives us technology, innovation, and so on. So all of that is great. But at the same time, dahil nahihiwalay nga natin yung mga bagay na to, we taxonomize, we classify, we categorize, the tendency is we imagine that they are totally distinct from one another. When in fact, everything, as I said kanina, is an interaction. When I say the word water, wala naman sa salitang water ang tubig. Hindi naman mapapawi yung uhaw ko when I say the word water. So that's just a sound connected to a symbol. That's just a sound connected to a thing. But it's not the thing itself. But when we separate things in this way, when we separate it in words, taxonomies, classifications, it's good for us to understand. But it also gives us the psychological illusion na hiwa-hiwalay siya at hindi sila connected sa isa't isa. Next po, makita natin kung paano ba nangyari yun. Kung tatanungin ko po kayo, and this comes down to the context that we experience as human beings. If I ask you what the boundaries of yourself is, ano yung masasagot ninyo? If I ask you, ano ang hangganan ng pagkatao mo? Where would you say na I end as myself? Ano po yan?
Wala naman yata hangganan because you continue learning.
Oh yes. Mm-mm. But you're referring to an I that continues learning, di ba? Across time. Tama. But there's still that I that continues learning. So ano yung hangganan ng I na yun? Pag sinabi mong ako to, ano yung hangganan ng ako hanggang masabi mong hindi na ako ito? Ano yun?
Pag may nako-cross na sa philosophy mo sa
Okay, pag nagko-cross sa philosophy sa life,
parang may mga ano ka na something, hindi na dapat gagawin to kasi hindi na ito yung ano.
right. So now meron tayong mas psychological po yung sagot and I love that. I was thinking more of literal. Yung literal na ikaw. Would I say, for example, na ako yung katawan ko? Do I end with my body? Is that the ending of my body? So, ibig sabihin yung damit ko ay hindi ako. And yet, when I dress up, ako pa rin to, right? Pero masasabi ko ba na tumitigil sa damit ko yung ako? Hindi rin, di ba? It's also what I will wear tomorrow. It's also how I interact with people. It's also how I pursue my values. But then, dun lang ba tumitigil yung ako? Hindi rin eh. Hindi ba when we have relationships, we also say, akin yan, akin to. These are people that I love. They're also part of who I am. Sa philosophy, ang tawag ni Leonardo Mercado dito ay yung sakop natin. Ano ba yung sakop natin? Bilang Pilipino din, meron din tayong sakop na kapag 1/4 na Filipino lang siya, kahit nasaan siya sa mundo, sabihin natin, oh, Filipino, Pinoy pride. So meron tayong ganon. Kasi yun yung sakop natin. Pero paano mo nasabi na ikaw yun? Hindi naman ikaw yun. So, pero bakit lumalampas yung hangganan ng sarili mo doon sa tao na yun? Eh, hindi mo nga siya kilala, hindi nga kayo close. So, how is it strange for us to be able to say na, ako to, yung table na to. Ako yung kwarto na to. Ako yung lupa na to. Ako yung langit na to. Ako yung tubig na to. Why can't I say that? So, nagkakaroon kasi tayo ng distinctions of me versus that, either or. Next po. So, everything is an interaction. The qualities of matter, alam naman po natin as scientists na things only exist because they interact with us. Yung old philosophical question na if a tree falls in the forest, ganyan. Alam naman natin, yes, there will be a sound wave, but there won't be a sound. Walang makakarinig nun. It won't exist. Colors won't exist, light won't exist, you and me won't exist if there isn't a person to experience it. So the point is lang, all of our experiences really are human experiences. It's a human universe, sabi nga ng ilang mga philosopher. Words, gestures, symbols only make sense. If you're in a crowded place, narinig mo yung pangalan mo, ba't gaganon ka? It's called the cocktail party effect. Ba't ka lilingon, narinig mo lang yung pangalan mo, but those are just sounds formed in a certain way that sounds like your name, and yet you relate to that sound. But you have to perceive that sound. Social customs, norms, matter itself on a quantum level. Ang interesting dito is na bakit tayo may lahat ng mga bagay pina-perceive natin. There was a psychologist who said, si William James ito, sabi niya that everything is really a perception. And he studied the altered states of consciousness. So yung experience natin of God, spirits, yung mga na-experience natin spiritually. So he said, ang ganda ng analogy, sabi niya, pag ininsulto ka pero hindi mo narinig, may insulto ka ba? Hindi naman, di ba? Parang hindi naman. Parang masasaktan ka lang pag sinabi sa'yo, uy, alam mo, may sinasabi yung talaga? Pero before that, di ka naman nasasaktan, di ba? Kasi hindi mo siya na-perceive. It wasn't real to you at all. I'm not saying that reality is just relative. I'm just saying that reality makes sense and has meaning only because we can perceive it. Yan. Next po. So, when we relate with nature, nagkakaroon tayo ng ganong klaseng distinction. Now, this is man versus nature. This is man versus the wild. There is a separation between human beings and what is natural. Nakikita din natin ito in social science when we say stuff like urban versus rural, or taga-lungsod versus taga-bundok, or taga-probinsya. These distinctions create an either-or, when in fact, both of them interact with each other in a certain way. So kung titingnan po natin, when it comes to relating with nature, and when I say nature, I'm just referring to the natural resources, the natural world, there are different ways that we can relate to it. Firstly is to dominate it. So dominating nature refers to exploiting it, using it, its resources, yung pagkuha sa kanya without thinking of the cost. It ends up as something that you create as a product, something that you consume. Or, ito, alam natin na hindi siya sustainable. Right? We know that this method is not sustainable. We've seen this when people, yung nakakalbo na yung bundok, yung naka-carve out na yung parts ng bundok, nauubusan na ng mga isda. But then, sasabihin natin, sige, alam mo, keep off the grass na lang muna. Huwag nyo na munang galawin. Allow it to breathe. So you abandon nature. You allow it to thrive by itself. And yet, even in that idea, which is very popular as an approach to environmentalism, is fine-fence off mo yung lupa, right? You still create a distinction between human and nature. Di ba? So you create a distinction na parang, okay, keep off the grass. Wag niyo munang galawin siya, let the grass breathe. And we see this a lot even today. When I went to this conference with some indigenous environmental defenders from the Cordillera region, ang sabi nila, bakit ganun yung approach? Let me take care of the land. Let me take care of the earth. Yes, alam nating nasisira siya. Let me do it. Let me take care of it. So it's human beings as part of nature, not as something fenced off, separated from nature. So yun po yung nagiging pag-iisip. Kasi pag sinabi nating alagaan natin yung kalikasan, yung ibig sabihin talaga natin is, iwanan natin yung kalikasan. Which is a very strange thing to say if you want to take care of something. Right? Next po. So, yun nga. Here's an example of the kind of thinking that it might look like. In terms of dominance, a sense of control, take all the fish, cut all the trees, own the land, cut it off. So ang hirap din pag sinabi natin yung mga ancestral domains. The concept ancestral domains, even legally, is a very difficult thing to prove. Kasi sinasabi doon is, since time immemorial. How do you prove that? Kasi ang daming communities na na-displace because of war, because of political conflict, because of greed and, corporate gain. So, paano lang masasabi? Ito na nga, nagtatalo-talo na sa titulo pa lang ng lupa. At paano masasabi na ito yung aking ancestral domain? So, ang hirap i-defend. Yung abandonment, okay, take all the fish. Sa abandonment, either or, no fishing zones. Bawal mag-fish dito. Right? Plant more trees, which is great naman, leave it there. And keep off the grass. Don't touch it. Huwag niyong hawakan. Let it grow. Let it rewild, yung term. Right? This is fine. Meron naman siyang uses. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there are uses to it. But then in terms of cultivation of both end, what it looks like is take only what you need for food, take only what you need for shelter, and care for the land. What this looks like is, noong panahon, there was this essay ni Jose Rizal, sobrang early pa nun. It's called The Indolence of the Filipino. Nabasa niyo po ba yung Indolence of the Filipino? It was a critique, an answer to the Spanish colonial accusation na tamad ang mga Pilipino. And we still have this until today na sinasabi natin, tamad yung mga Pilipino. His argument was, nung time na yun, well, the only reason na tinitingnan nyo kaming tamad is because we can just go out and fetch the food whenever we want. We can just go out and get food or hunt or find something to do when we need it because nature is there to take care of us. The Spaniards came from a place where you have to store up for winter or for bad times. So nagkaroon ng ganong argument na, interesting. Nagmumukha siyang tamad, but in fact, we were just provided for. Parang yung feeling. We were just taking what we needed. And it's very strange na sabihin tayo yung tamad, pero may siesta time naman din ng di ba? Ang Spanish colony. Mas mahaba pang... Yung mga European restaurants nga hanggang ngayon, di ba, tumitigil ng 2 p.m. tapos bubukas ng 5. That's siesta time yun eh. So, may ganun. So, obviously, meron ding colonial aspect yun. Pero yun yung isang argument na tumatak sa akin from Rizal's time na hanggang ngayon, nagme-make sense pa rin. And we'll see it later on when I talk about man as a machine. Next po. So, when it comes to creating these strange distinctions between man and the world around us, nagkakaroon ng man versus the wild. Pag sinabi nating wilderness, bakit siya related sa manipulation and control? When we say that's a wild person, ano ibig nating sabihin? Hindi siya makontrol, di ba? A person is outside of rationality. They cannot be controlled. Animalistic. And so we've had all these colonial notions of the civilized and the primitive. The wild person and the modern man. Hanggang ngayon, meron pa rin tayong notion na because we see a lot of indigenous communities as since time immemorial pa yan, ganyan na sila ever since, hindi sila na-colonized. So we have this notion that they're stuck in some kind of prehistory, which is actually a colonial mentality within us na hindi natin napapansin. So, bakit nga ba natin naiisip na man versus wild, man versus nature? Why do we say that there is such a thing as man-made versus natural? Why is that an important thing to say in products na parang, this is natural, this is organic. Why is that so special? Because we know that everything else is not, somehow, when everything else comes from the same place anyway. And we say something is conscious versus non-conscious. If everything's made of the same stuff, where do we draw the line? So dito pumapasok yung animistic thinking. Why is it that I'm alive, but plants are somehow not? And kung buhay din yung plants, why wouldn't the water be alive? Why wouldn't it be the mountain alive? It's the one that gives life anyway. Why wouldn't it be alive in its own way? So it's interesting that we're judging environmental aspects on a human standard. So yun. At isa pa, yung lagi natin sinasabi, hayop ka. Pag sinabi natin, animal ka. What does that mean when we say, baboy ka, ahas ka, ano yung mga sinasabi natin, buhaya ka, ganyan, tuta ka, di ba? What does that mean? What are we implying when we're saying that a person is acting like an animal? So hindi siya nagpapakatao. What makes it so different? So yun. Next po. Okay, so ngayon, we get to the notion of man as a machine versus man as an organism. And what I want to bring up here is something na sinabi ng philosopher na si Alan Watts. When a person says they came into this world, so pag pinanganak yung isang tao, oh, they came into this world. Saan siya galing? Where did they come from when a person came into this world? Didn't we grow out of it? Yun yung sinasabi niya. Next po. So, when it comes to, and this is very important in mental health, kasi yung notion ng man as a machine is that a person is static, they don't change, ganyan ka talaga. Ganyan na talaga yung tao na yan. Hindi siya nagbabago ever. A person, if they're a machine, they only produce and consume. They're only meant to produce and consume. At dito natin nakikita yung medyo toxicity ng ating mga workplace kung minsan ay na we're expected na dapat lagi kang you're on a cycle of if you can produce, you can consume more. If you can consume more, then you can produce more, and so on. It's a cycle. It's a transaction. The notion of a person as someone who develops is linear, causal, mechanical. I am this, therefore that. The self then is a character, a product. Nakikita natin ito in our everyday language when we say something like, wala yan sa branding mo. Di ba? We say something like that. Na parang, ba't ka ganyan? Parang wala yata sa branding mo. What do you mean branding? Do I have to have a product? Do I have to have a character that you have to understand specifically? Because it's static. But if a person is an organism, nakikita natin na there's a dynamism. A person changes, moves, and that's okay. Everything changes and moves. There is creativity and nourishment rather than just production and consumption. There is reciprocity rather than transactionality. At ito yung naging criticism sa pagtingin sa utang na loob. Pag sinabi natin utang na loob, nagiging transaction lang siya. Kasi ang tingin natin sa isa't isa, machine lang tayo. Na you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and so on. Pero what if utang na loob, ang interesting nga kasi akala ko noon, yung utang na loob, akala ko nung bata ko, utang ng loob. Akala ko ganun siya. Yung utang ng loob, kasi implication nun is, yung loob ko, may utang sa'yo. Parang yun yung word, di ba? Parang meron akong utang sa'yo. I was very young. Sabi ko, ano yung utang ko sa'yo? I don't know. Pero eventually ko lang na-realize na hindi pala nang yun, it's na. Yung loob ko is, yung buong loob ko, inutang ko sa kapwa ko. Inutang ko siya. In other words, I borrow who I am from the people that I love, from the people that I'm sharing life with. And so I take care of that because that is part of me. Diba? So reciprocity siya. It's cyclical, values-based. There's this psychologist, I think si Frankl, I'm not sure. Pero ang sabi niya is, people are pushed by drives and instincts, but pulled by values. So we are pushed by these biological drives, but we are pulled by values that make us social animals. We have an evolving relational self rather than just a static product. So nakikita po natin ito on an everyday level as pag sinabi natin, how can you love someone if you can't love yourself? Parang ganyan. We say this, diba? And that's a very basic thing to say, but that already implies that you have to make yourself valuable, yourself profitable, before you can be loved by someone else. So merong assumption na dapat ikaw, you're a fixed, static thing that's already perfect for you to be valuable. And we separate ourselves from people. We feel, in the notion of mental health, that mental health is a defect rather than the result of social forces that influence a person's inability to adapt to their environment. So nakikita natin na ikaw yung may mali kasi depressed ka, o ikaw yung may mali kasi ganyan yung na-experience mo. You're anxious because you have a problem. But we can look from the social lens and say, bakit siya anxious? Isn't that just a reaction to stressors? Isn't that a reaction? Ba't siya burnt out? Is it their fault for being burnt out? Or is it the stressors that they're not recognizing or handling? Masyado silang maraming binubuhat. So we can also look at it from a social, organismic perspective, na hindi lang ako. Next pa. So yun nga, sabi ni Alan Watts in the book, on the taboo against knowing who you are, we do not come into this world, we come out of it as leaves from a tree, as the ocean waves, the universe peoples. Every individual is an expression of the whole realm of nature, a unique action of the total universe. Ang sinasabi lang niya dito, the point really is that there's nothing else for the universe to do except to create people. That's where we come from. Yun lang talaga. It's just natural. It comes from it. Wala naman tayo ibang pinanggalingan. Nandito lang naman tayo. Dito tayo nanggaling eh. Next pa. Ayan. So now we get to the last part. We look into identity and space. With all that recognized, that mindset, these worldviews, tingnan naman natin yung mas contextualized. Let's look at some important terms and ideas that might be helpful. So I brought up kalibutan. Si Russell Mohares in House of Memory suggested that maybe kalibutan means kalibot-buotan. In Cebuano, libot means your surrounding, buotan means your personhood. Yun yung buot ng isang tao. Very similar to, sa Tagalog pa is yung loob ng tao. Right? Very similar. So yung buotan ng isang tao, yun yung personhood niya. It's their entire experience from inside and outside. Sa Ilocano may term din, although I might butcher the pronunciation, nakam. Meron po bang Ilocano dito? Yes, yeah, yun po. So yung mismong concept na yun din is also an inside relating to the outside. And we see this na kung titingnan natin across Philippine cultures na merong ganong idea na yung pagkatao ay hindi static. Yung mismong salitang pagkatao, meron tayong pagka. Pagka is not a static prefix. It's something that implies a process of becoming. Pagkatao mo is seen in relationality. It's seen in, saan nakikita ang pagkatao, di ba? If you say something wrong or if you do something right, you see it in how people relate with each other. It's a process. Next po. So yun nga. So pasok naman tayo yung isang konsepto pa, yung kapwa. Ang interesting kasi meron po siyang alternative spelling. Kapuwa. Hindi kapwang, pero kapuwa. Yeah. So ang interesting, so parang bakit dalawa yung spelling ng kapwa? Kung titingnan, both are correct. It just depends on kung gaano ka ka-purist sa Tagalog. Pero it's either kapwa or lalagyan mo ng U dyan sa kapuwa. Both are accepted. So ang interesting, sabi, could it be possible na yung root talaga niya is kapuwang, meaning sharing in the space? Nakikita kasi natin yung prefix na ka in a lot of relational terms. Kabiak, kapatid, di ba? Kasama. Kapag kasama rin kita sa isang organization, sabihin ko, ka-Ernie o ka-Teresing, di ba? So meron tayong ka na term. Sabi ni Virgilio Enriquez, it's a kind of shared identity. Sabi ni Catherine de Guia, it's the self in the other. It's seeing myself in you and treating you as part of myself. Ang sabi ko sa isang papel, it's an usness. Yun yung aking translation. At ang sabi naman nila Wong at Salazar Jr., it's a kind of post-human experience. Ang interesting nitong reference na to kasi they actually put it in the context of nature. Pakikipagkapwa sa kalikasan. At sinasabi din natin, hindi ba kapwa nila lang? Yung mga hayop, kapwa nila lang? Yung mga halaman, lahat sila ay gawa. In a spiritual sense, gawa ng Diyos. Parang ganun. So, ito na. Folklore and relationality, when we go into the indigenous concept of it, pag tinignan natin from an anthropological perspective, when we look at rituals, actually yung term na animism has been a colonial term for the longest time. In the early 20th century, animism was really just an umbrella term for any religion that was not a structured religion, na naintindihan as Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and so on. So if it was a non-Western, any indigenous religion, it was tagged as animism, which is really wrong kasi meron din namang structure ang Philippine animism. Meron tayong mga anito, bailan, mga umalagad, and so on. So there is a structure to it. But we use animism in some very interesting ways. Sa developmental psychology, animism is the tendency of children to think na yung mga toys nila ay may buhay. Kaya yung Toy Story, di ba? So it's kind of a pejorative term, especially pag sa mga bata nire-refer, that child still has animism. At nakikita natin, still in this idea na animism somehow is perceived as a primitive religion. But we can look at animism simply as just a way of treating nature or treating your environment as kapwa. I'll give a very common sense or like ordinary experience ng animism that we probably still experience. Pag pumapasok kayo sa isang lugar, lalo na pag alam nyo haunted house, di ba sinasabi nyo, may nararamdaman akong something. Or pag dadaan ka sa ilalim ng matandang puno, sabi ko, parang may something dito, parang may nararamdaman ako. Parang mabigat yung pakiramdam ko. That's a kind of animism. It's a pakikipagkapwa, pakikiramdam sa mga forces na hindi mo nakikita. Technically, it's a kind of animism, right? So what I am saying lang is that in this way, Philippine animism is a treating of these unseen forces as my kapwa. So kaya pag sinasabi natin, dadaan tayo, di ba, tabi-tabi po. Kasi ayaw kong apakan o banggaan yung mga tao, yung mga engkanto. If you're in a crowded place, don't you also say, excuse me po, makikiraan lang. It's the same principle. Di ba meron tayong konsepto ng nabangga. O, nabangga ng engkanto yan, di ba? So kaya siya nagkasakit kasi nabangga daw siya. And that's exactly the same thing. We're trying to take care not to bump into accidentally these forces. Ayaw nating ma-offend yung mga forces. So it's a mindful treatment of nature. The use of food in rituals is also very important. We will see this if you're going out naman din. I'm sure you've also seen it already in the field na people would leave food for spirits and so on. Yung ritual process nun, the notion of that is not really just a gift. It's more of para tayo nag-lunch meeting. Parang gano'n. O, kain muna tayo, tapos pag-usapan natin to. Parang gano'n. Very much na parang, o, kain muna tayo, kasi may pag-uusapan tayong mahalaga. So what they would do is, an example from southern Philippines, is yung ayo-ayo na ritual, which is where, pag gusto nila i-clear yung land for a house to be built, nag-iiwan sila ng pagkain, tapos sabihin ng baylan, ay, mga espiritu dyan sa kanto, punta muna kayo dito, may pag-uusapan tayo. Baka pwede namang magtayo kami ng bahay dito. And it's usually a 3 to 5 day feast, ganyan. So parang ganon, di ba? We're treating spirits in this way. Even today, in urban settings, we see na pag nagkasakit ang isang tao, sabihin ng albularyo, oh, sige, mag-iwan ka ng pagkain sa labas. Meron kasing tamaang duwende. So, ganun pa rin. It's still, uy, sorry na, bawi na ako sa'yo. Parang ganun, right? Sorry po na natamaan kita, bawi po ako sa'yo. So, psychologically, even though the vocabulary, the language is folklore, psychologically, the principle is still social. Socializing. Yung konsepto ng GABA, if you're familiar with this, yung GABA is para siyang karma, pero more of a punishment, di ba? Ang tawag dito. For example, kung this is usually related din sa nature, how we take care of nature. Kasi pag bumaha, sabihin natin, ayan yung gaba mo kasi tapon ka ng tapon sa ilog eh. So there's this cosmic reciprocity involved in our folkloric belief. Next pa. So ito lang. Before we go to the end. This comes from kay Yuri Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model of development. It also comes from my own paper. So I had a paper, actually yung context nito was in yung context ng kababalaghan. It's more of why do we experience spirits and why do we experience these things. But I wanted to bring out na generally speaking, ganito yung pananaw natin. There's the self, yung katawan, katauhan, kalooban, as part of kapwa, lipunan, kultura, that's the micro, meso, and exosystem. And yung mundo, yung kalikasan, kapalaran, panahon, the chronos system of a person's experience. What's interesting also about this is that this comes up in research among indigenous communities, not just in the Philippines. Iba lang yung tawag sa kanila. I was working with Magis Creative Spaces kasi meron din silang arm with indigenous communities, Cartwheel Foundation. Nung nag-meet kami, parehas kami ng nagawang framework. And we haven't talked about it before. Now, when I brought it up, and they brought it up, sabi niya, oh, we also saw this exactly the same way when they were interacting with indigenous communities. So lumilitaw siya. The self is not just separate from everything, as if parang hiwa-hiwalay na dots, but the self as part of a larger ecological system. Next pa. And so we go back to the question kanina, before I open up for your questions naman. Kanina, we talked about the boundaries of the self. How do I define the either-or of me versus everything else? But if we shift that to the other side lang, rather than thinking of the boundaries, what is the scope of the self? Ano ba yung sakop ng pagkatao ko? Where do I belong? Who do I belong to? And what is my context? So yun po yung shift sa ating mindset that will allow us to approach communities in a more open way. Yun. Yun po yung discussion. Opening the floor for your questions.